Hello everyone, welcome to this video about simplifying chord changes and how to use that principle to gain proficiency in soloing. I've gotten many questions from people asking me to tell something about how to practice soloing, and it's kind of a difficult subject because I've made many videos in which I give you lines that I've transcribed or general concepts on how to play on certain chord changes, but explaining how to approach soloing on a complete tune is kind of difficult to do on a video. You know, in a one-to-one session, in a lesson, it's easy because it's a kind of conversation and I can show you something immediately after I say it and I can answer questions. So I've been racking my brain for the past week on how to do this in a video. So I'm still not completely sure how to do it, but I'm gonna try it. So what I did is I picked a song, a very nice song that has quite a lot of chords, but they're kind of standard chords. So maybe I'll do another video at a later time where I have a song with maybe some weirder chords. And I want to walk you first through the process of simplifying the changes. And it also exposes the way I think of harmony. So the way I think of harmony, it's not revolutionary, but it's something I don't hear a lot of people talk about, is that for me there are basically only 3 chords. So it doesn't matter how many chords I see in a song, I usually can convert them to one of 3 chords. It's either a 1 chord, a 2 chord, or a 5 chord. And the 2 can also be a 4 chord, that's the same chord for me. So to make it more, less abstract, so if we're in the key of C, there's either a C chord, a D minor, that's 2, or F, that's the same, or a G7. So now you're saying, how about when there's A7? Well, A7 would be for me a 5 chord, but in another key. That would be in the key of D, for example. So of course, there's not only 3 chords in the song, I need to change keys in my head, but then in that new key, it's either 1, 2, or 5. And then when I simplify changes, I eliminate a lot of chords because I realize that when I have a 5 chord, I can also play lines that fit a 2 chord on that 5, right? When I have a 5 chord, I can also play lines that would fit a 4 minor chord. I could play lines that would fit a 1 diminished chord. If it's a 1 chord, I could play lines that fit a 1 diminished chord. So for me, every sound I play on my guitar, they fit those 3 chords. And they usually fit actually every chord as long as you resolve it at the right time. So this is what makes it so difficult to explain in the video, because it's very tune dependent. So let's just look at this tune called My Shining Hour. And we're going to look at it in C, just like the recording of, I don't know which recording is in C. I think the Coltrane recording is in C. And these are the changes that you will find in the real book or in iReal. And as you can see, there's many changes. You know, it's like 1, 6, 2, 5, and then 1, 6, and then it's 2, 5 in A minor, right? And then again 2, 5, A minor, and then it's a 2, 5, A minor, D7 in G, but then we go to 2, 5 in C. That's 2, 5 in F, 2, 5 in E flat, but doesn't resolve to E flat, it goes to this kind of walk down, C, and then E half diminished A7, which is a 2, 5 in D minor. So these are a lot of chords. And if I would have to comp somebody, I would use these chords. But if I play a solo, these are just way too many chords for me to think about. Right? I could do it, but then probably I would be very confined to playing the same kind of lines all the time. So let me show you what a simplification would look like. So now you can see that, for instance, the 6th chord in the bar 2, the A minor, it's gone. Because C and A minor, they're the same chord. 1 and 6 the same. So now for me it's only C. And that opens up many possibilities. Because now if I have a C chord for 2 bars, I could I could play C for 2 bars. Right, that's a line for C. But I could also, because it's 2 bars, I could maybe cheat some C diminished in there. Right, C diminished. Now you say, that doesn't sound, well, it does sound, because C diminished is just a suspension or retardation for C, right? It's a sound that resolves to C. And because I have 2 bars, if I play C diminished and resolve to C before the 2 bars end, it sounds, right? So you have this C 2 bars, and I play. That would fit, right? So, but that I could also just play 2 bars of C. But now you see, because I eliminated that A minor, there's more possibilities. The D minor, it's gone. Even though I say there's only 3 chords, 1, 2, 5. Maybe I should have said there's only major, minor, and dominant. That's better. So forget about the 2. I'll explain later. So the 2 chord is gone. I just put G7, just put the 5 chord, the dominant chord. So 2 bars with G7 gives me lots of opportunity to play different material. I could play 2 bars of G7. Maybe the bebop scale. Maybe B diminished. Right, there's lots of things I can do on G7, but again, it's 2 bars, so I could play some D minor on top of it. I know that would sound on G7, because D minor is a suspension for G7. So now you say, well, why don't you just leave the D minor there? Now that's because I want the option of not playing it, or playing it not exactly at the time, a little later, or play something completely different, like F minor. So you say G7, F minor, how would that work? Well, I know F minor. F minor 6 is a nice sound to play over G7. It creates a sus flat 9 sound. But if I see D minor, I would maybe not do it. But if I see 2 bars of G7, I would do it. So I recorded the backing track with the song, but I put all the chords in it. So you'll hear the backing track, you'll hear C, A minor, D minor 7, G7. So let's listen to it. So you hear 2 bars at the beginning for me to, as a count in, it's like C, G7. And then we start C, 6, A minor, 7, D minor 7, G7. Sounds like this. You go. And C, A minor, D minor 7, G7. So let me just play 2 bars of C, and then I'm just going to play 2 bars of G7, just to start out. That's the simplest possibility. And let's think about the lines. I'm going to play this kind of C line. Right, it's a C major 7 arpeggio, starting from around the root, starting on the major 7. This line was in my previous video, for example. I will link a bunch of videos under this video with lines that you can use. And then for G7, I'm just gonna play some bebop. The bebop scale. Right, it's okay, let's do that. Right, sounds perfectly acceptable. Okay, let's do another option. Let's play the same line for C. And let's go to F minor. So on the G7, I'm gonna play F minor. And you will hear that it works. Right? Let's do it again with other lines. So what did I do there? I played F minor 6. And I went up with D or B diminished. let's try something else. Let's start with C diminished on the C, because I have 2 bars of C, right? So I can play a C diminished, resolve, and then go to F minor, and then resolve to C in the 5th bar. And there are many possibilities. I could maybe play D7, G7, right? Even though there's D minor on the backing track, I could play D7. Of course, I would not play an F sharp on beat 1, but I could maybe wait, like you hear D minor, and I play, right? So it's D7, D7 flat 9 to G7. Let's try that. Let's do it again. Sounds great. Let's try play C and G altered. I'm just gonna play some giant. Right. Let's play C and then A flat 7 to G7. Let's go to D diminished. See, everything works. So for me, by simplifying those changes, I open up the possibilities. Okay, so let's look at the next 4 bars. So the original changes are C, A minor, B half diminished, E7. And I simplified it to C, 2 bars, and then E7, 2 bars, to A minor. Right? And I said in the beginning, 1 to 5, let's forget it. It's major, minor, and dominant. So for me, it's C, right? So C major, 2 bars. Then we're going to E7, which is a dominant chord. So, and every time I see a dominant chord, I look at the next chord. So I see that the next chord is A minor. So I need to play a line from E7 to A minor. And I have many options, right? I could play E7 altered line, something like with maybe a sharp 9. I could play maybe some F major 7. I could play B flat 7. I could play D minor 6 and then resolve to G sharp diminished. So let's first try, so on the beginning, I'm gonna play 2 bars of C, then I'm gonna do something on G7, whatever. Then 2 bars of C again, and I'm going to a E7 altered sound with a sharp 9. This sound. So then the next 4 bars are easy because it's A minor 2 bars, E7 2 bars again. Now the original changes for the next 4 bars are A minor 7, D7. Now for me, I can make a choice. I could either think, because since A minor 7 or A minor 6 and D7, they're all basically the same chord. Right? A minor 7 means I can play lines for both A minor 6 and A minor 7, and A minor 6 is D7. So it's 2 bars of A minor, or it's 2 bars of D7, or 2 bars of A minor 6, it's all the same. But because before I have E7, maybe it's easy to think E7 to 2 bars of A minor. But I could play E7 to D7, right? I could play... I could play a resolution from E7 to D7, but that's not the easiest to do. So probably it's easier to think E7 to A minor 2 bars. And then the original changes are D minor 7 to G7. And well, it's just G7. So now I have very easy chord progression. A minor, E7, A minor, G7. Let's do that from the beginning. So you'll hear me play 2 bars of C, 2 bars of something G7. Maybe I'll play some F minor 6 now. And then we're going to 2 bars of C again, and then E7. And now let's play some B flat 7 on the E7. And then we're going to A minor, 2 bars of E7. I'll play some sharp 9 thing. 2 bars of A minor. Then we're going to G7 for 2 bars to resolve to C7. Okay, let's try that. You see, that's why it's so difficult to make a video. I have to say so many chords and remember it because I don't have the chords in front of me, even though you see it on the screen. Okay, let's just try it. So I went on, so it's C7 to F. Normally it says G minor 7, C7, this is 2-5. So I can just play C7, or I can play G minor, 6, 7, it's all the same. Or I could actually play a 2-5 to F, I have the option. And then it says F minor 7, B flat 7 originally. And you know, so you think, oh, that's a 2-5-1 to E flat, but I don't hear it like that. It's just F minor for me. Again, F minor 7, B flat 7, F minor 6, it's all the same. It's F minor, and F minor makes sense to me in the key of C because it's just the 4th degree in minor, right? And it's a normal change. So first you have this 2-5 to F, like C7, G minor 7, F. And now the original changes are F minor, B flat 7, and I just think F7, F minor 7. And then it says, so that's C, E flat diminished, D minor. That's too many chords. I could play some line. I could play some. And that's pretty nice. But I could also just think 1 bar of C, because it's C and then there's a passing chord. And then D minor, I can get rid of that. It's 1 bar of C, 1 bar of G7. Which opens up the possibility for me to ignore the G7 again and just play C. Or I could play D flat 7 on the G7. Right? I could play some. That's a Peter Bernstein line. Let's do that. So I have to play from the beginning. That's a looper. So you'll hear me play the beginning. Then we get to the C7 to the F, the 2-5. I'm just going to play. Maybe I'll play some 2-5 line. I'm going to play this lick. Right, that's a nice half tone, whole tone diminished lick. And I'm F, and then I'm going to F minor. And then I have C, G7. I'm gonna play this Peter Bernstein line. And then we're at the last bars, which are C, and then 2-5 to D minor. But I just wrote A7 and gives me the possibility to do lots of things. I could play B flat minor 6. I could play G minor 6. Right? If you watch my videos called G minor 6, you see all the possibilities to play minor 6 on dominant chords. And then I wrote D minor 7, G7. So you think, why didn't you write just G7? That's because before I had A7, and the same as before from the E7 to the A minor. I could think E7 to D7, or in this case A7 to G7, but it's easier for me to think A7 to D minor. And then I can go to D minor 6, which is the same as G7. So that's why I wrote D minor 7, G7. But you know, for now, let's just think A7 to D minor 6. And I'm going to stay on D minor 6 and then go to C. So from the beginning, I'm gonna do everything I did before, but then at the end, where it originally had this 4 chords, I'm gonna play C and then D flat 7, that line of Peter Bernstein, and then play C and A7 to D minor 6. So maybe you ask, do you plan out that when you play those licks? No, of course not. In a real life situation, I would not think, okay, and then in the second chorus, I'm gonna play the Peter Bernstein lick. No, I hear these things when I play them because I've practiced them so much, but I do it now to show you how it works. Okay, I'm not even sure I remember everything, but I'm gonna try. Alright, so I played 2 choruses. I tried to do some different things, but because I have so few changes to think about, I have so much freedom, I can do whatever I want, I could play a chorus of chords, of course, then I could play many more chords, but because it's simplified, I don't have to play, when I play chords, I don't have to play like a C, A minor, and then D minor, because I only have C and G7, that opens up many things. Now I could play stuff like... because now I'm just thinking interesting chords to play on G7, and it could be many things, right? I could play octatonic stuff, I could play some D7 kind of thing to G7, right? Something like... But you never play stuff like this. So that's D7 flat 9, and then octatonic to G7, if the chord is D minor. But if you do this with a conviction, then it will actually sound. Let me try it. I'm gonna play C, some kind of C voicing. Let's try like this. And then the chord says D minor 7. I'm gonna play to G7, maybe G7 sharp 11 to some C. Let's try that. I'm not even sure it's gonna work, but let's try it. So, I know I said a lot of chords and did a lot of stuff, but I hope I showed you how this works. So, I plan to do more of these and just kind of walk you through my thought process and show you that it's not that complicated. It's not that complicated to play the changes, especially if you simplify it. And the advantage is that if you start simplifying it, you can be very interesting, because now there's a lot of colors you can apply to the changes. And So the real work is in finding lines that work, right? Because if I play F minor 6 on G7, I need to resolve that at one point, either to G7 itself or to C, is the next chord. So, and once you can resolve things, there's so many things you could do. You could sidestep, right? The chord says C6, I could play first on D flat 6 and then resolve that to C6. Or you could basically do anything, but finding those lines is the work, and practice them so that you can play them with ease and that you start hearing them. That's why I always say you should transcribe. If you transcribe and find nice lines, then you will can come up with your own lines based on those lines. So next time I'm gonna take a song which has diminished chords in it, for example, and maybe some other things that you would not suspect can be simplified to a very simple chord progression. If you have questions, and I bet you do, ask them on this video, and then I'll see if I can answer them in a new, separate session. And I hope it was not too confusing. It's very difficult to make a video about this that is clear for a video in which there's nobody asking me questions or asking me to do something slower or again. So I hope I can make it even clearer in the next video. Until then, bye.